Hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome to Upgrades. Today we're going to upgrade my PC. I've had this computer for a very long time, or at least the main part of it. I bought it many years ago. I would say, I don't know, I'm not sure, but it's at least 4 years old. But saying that, not every part of it is. And that's because generally with my computers I will have a case and parts inside it, and when I feel that a certain part is lacking behind the rest, and I save up a bit of money and I upgrade that part. The last thing to be upgraded in here was probably the graphics card a little while ago, and this SATA hot swap bay was one of the things as well back last September. And this allows me to back up all my YouTube videos nice and easily. I can literally flip out my SATA drives, my hard drives, and put everything on there, all my videos and YouTube videos, and then just flip them back in again. It makes it easy to swap between large quantities of data. But that was one of the last upgrades. It's time for a big upgrade today, the upgrade which is going to change everything. I'm not sure if it's going to work just ripping it out and putting it back in again, but let's see. So first things first, let's get this out and let's get inside it. Now, this part of the desk was made so the side can come off. I originally intended to put some screws in to secure it in place, but I forgot, and yeah, so that comes out. And then here we have it, the computer itself. Let's get this main side off first. Oh my word. It's been a little while since I've been in here. Certainly looking quite messy. Now, I did a calculation online using a web tool, and I was worried about whether my power supply would be able to handle the new components. And the recommended rating was about 640 watt. This is a 750 watt power supply in here, so I know I don't have to upgrade that. First things first, this is the fairly new graphics card. It's not brand new, fairly new. Let's get that out of the way. There we go. Graphics card out. We'll be putting that back in later, so we'll put that to one side. Right. Next thing is to remove some of these cables and get them out of the way. So let's peel these back. Any spares, let's bring them back here. Now there are a number of drives in here. We've got 2 solid state drives down here, 2 hard drives up there, a drive reader bay up here, and a CD drive up there. Hopefully all of these we can keep in here and rip everything else out. We need to disconnect the fans because one of the things we're replacing is the motherboard today. Now ideally I want to keep all the drives in place, so this is going to be a little bit tricky to get out. Let's disconnect this, or should we keep that in? We'll keep that in because we're going to try and keep these fans all in there. We need to take this fan out because another thing that we're going to be replacing today is the heatsink, and this fan's on this heatsink, so we need to get that out. There we go. All these little cables from the motherboard for various different USB utilities, all that sort of stuff, all the connections to the buttons at the front, that's out. There we go. And I think it's just, yep, the SATA drives need disconnecting now, so hopefully my new motherboard has got enough room for all these various drives that I have, because I don't just do YouTube, I do other things as well which take up a lot of space on drives. So let's just remove that one, and I might need a screwdriver to get in there. Right then, I think I've got most of the screws out. There's 6 here and 3 back here. There's one more down here which is quite awkward to get to. Luckily for me, the screwdriver I'm using has a slight magnet, or at least magnetic force running through the tip, which will allow me to lift the screws out. And then there's one more down here, but it's right in between these drive cables. It's a pain in the backside. Now I'm worried that with the new parts I'm putting in, that the graphics cards are going to get in the way of these hard drives, in which case I'm going to have to move the hard drives. Right. I think, yeah, that screws out, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pick it up. Well, maybe. Yep, there we go. Okay, I think that's everything disconnected. Now, I'm guessing the motherboard has to be moved back a bit. Now, one of the biggest, heaviest parts is this heatsink here. We don't want to lift it up by the heatsink, but I need to support the heatsink as it comes out. Now, a lot of the cables and stuff are down the bottom here, so what I'm going to try and do is kind of come out this way. I don't know if it's going to work. I think I've got all the cables disconnected. Looks like it. Let's give it a go in terms of, oh yeah, it is definitely free. Okay, let's see if we can bring it up. We do have a lot of cables there and here. I'm not sure, maybe we can rotate this way. Yeah, that seems to be working. Trying to support the heatsink as I'm lifting it out, because there's nothing wrong with this, it still works, it's just not quite powerful enough for what I want it for. So there we go. There is the motherboard, the main board, the remaining RAM slots, 3 pieces of RAM there, and a CPU, 6-core AMD under there. We're just going to lift that out. I'm going to put it to one side, because that is the parts we're replacing. Well, there's the old parts out. Let's go get the new ones. Okay, and here is the new one. You see? We're going to be putting this in. Right. Now, this particular package is a bundle. Okay, there's a manual. We might need that just in case we get confused. It's a motherboard, CPU and RAM bundle, which comes pre-assembled, which is quite handy. So let's just get the box to one side. Now, this is what we're going to be putting into the computer. It's damn sight easier to do so without the heatsink attached, which we're going to do in a bit. So let's just get this out of its special bag. It's an anti-static bag, I believe. And here it is. Okay, pretty nice, pretty sweet, very clean, new, brilliant. So here we've got a nice quick motherboard, an Intel i7 4.5 quad core. So I'm hoping for great things from that. And a massive 32 gig of RAM. That's quite big to me. I'm only used to having 12, so that is quite an upgrade. This bundle was quite cheap in comparison to the statistics, and I will put more details about exactly what is in this bundle in the video's description. But let's get this fixed inside. So I don't think in most cases you have to put the SATA ports in first. I don't think I have done in the past, but I think for this build we're going to need to. So let's just place it down here and have a look at what we have. So we have quite a few SATAs here. Yeah, let's get them all connected. Okay, so I've just made sure I've got all 6 SATA devices lined up here. We've got some at the top, some at the bottom. We've got some inline ones. I'm not sure what all of them are, but we're just going to connect them up here like this. And this is a lot easier to do when it's not actually in the computer itself. So we've got. I want to keep the. I want to do the SATA. Sorry, the solid state drive separately. So we've got the 2 at the top, and let's just do the 2 at the bottom. Make sure we got this the right way around. I haven't. Come on, come here. There we go. There's the 2 hard drives. So we've got the SATA Bay CD drive, hard drive 1, hard drive 2, and then where's my other cable gone? Here. And then the 2 solid state drives. One is the OS, and one of them is the, what is it? One of them's the OS, one of them's a game drive. There we go. So let's just put that in there like that. Is it that way? Can't see. Yes. I think that might be getting in the way. Let's swap it over. There we go. Brilliant. Now they're in, I'm going to try and put the motherboard back. And this is where cables are going to get all funny. Right. We are now in place. Right. I'm going to screw the motherboard down and then we'll look at the next part. Right, this is the last screw to go in the motherboard. I've also tidied the cables up a little bit, reorganised them slightly. There we go. Not too tight, just tight enough. Yeah, I've pulled back some of these SATA cables and just wedged them under there, and it just makes it a little bit more open and clear. And especially for the next bit, that's going to be important because we've got to get all these cables connected and then fit the CPU in. So we've already put the SATA cables on. That means all my drives are connected. The RAM was already in the motherboard. The CPU was already in there. So this is actually quite an easy build. Next thing we need to do is get power to the motherboard and connect up the front ports and all that. So let's do the front ports first, I think. Right, now it's time to see if this heatsink will fit. I say that because it comes in a humongous box. Look at this box. Massive. Right, okay, so I'm just putting the back plate on for the heatsink. I did have it on its side. Now it's not on its side, it's on its back again, and I'm just putting the last 2 mounting screw things, whatever they're called, into that back plate. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. And I'm guessing these little nuts on the top are going to have to come off in a second, but that back plate is now on. So let's get the instructions. The only part that I'm really using instructions for is this bit. I really hate heat sinks. They're big, awkward and horrible. Put the aluminium adapter on each side of the heatsink. Now this is where I have to apply the paste. I hate working with this paste because I know how much it can stick to absolutely everything. Let's take the protective nozzle off. Now I don't think we need all of this paste, but let's have a look. It's nice that they come in these little syringes now because they didn't used to. They used to come in little tubes. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid eye contact and skin contact and contact with anything. Okay, oh cool, there it is. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to do a little wiggly line, thermal paste right across the plate. This is going to directly contact with our CPU. I might be putting a little bit too much on here, but we're going to just have a look. I'm not sure how much is left in there because there's a piece of cover all around the outside, but we're going to leave it there. That should be plenty. Okay, so the SATA cable I'm taking out has just got 2 big long straight ends. That's getting in the way. Luckily the motherboard came with spare SATA cables. This one you can see is a right angle, so should get in the way a lot less. So let's put that back on the drive. There we go. That fan's well and truly secured on there now. I need to find if there's another one for the other fan, because there's another fan here. Now here we go. Well, that is pretty much everything in now. Got to just tie back all these fan cables, make sure that they're not in the way of everything. We've got mini fan speed controllers there and all sorts. Just going to wedge them all in the top. Make sure all these here don't really interact with anything. There we go. Same with this here. We can't have any of this going into the fan blades, so we're just going to be careful and just kind of gently place that down the side. There we go. I think that's okay there. Now if any of those SATA cables have come out of that hard drive, out of that bay, I am screwed. So the last thing to do is put the graphics card back in. Here it is. Here's the main beastie. Let's see if it fits. Oh, it's going to be close. Need to get this plate off here. Let's lower it in from an angle. We're going to do it this. Or should we'll put the power on first, actually. There we go. This is a little bit fiddly to do otherwise. There's one. Oh, there's two. Okay, let's just push them back there for now. Okay, so all these cables and stuff that are all back here, they all need to move back out the way. There we go. As we line it up and slot it in, only just fits next to the heatsink. In fact, it's up against the heatsink almost here, which I think it could be bad if it contacts any of the board itself. That is not good. We need an isolator in there, I think. Or is that going to be okay once it's screwed in? It's very no, it isn't touching the board. It should be fine. Okay, fantastic. And then finally, the last part of the puzzle, the second drive. Now the reason why I'm using two, there's two main reasons I'm using two. From what I understand, using, well, there's possibly three actually. Using two graphics cards that are £100 are often, not always, better than one graphics card that's £200. So you get more for your money. Also, if you've got multiple monitor setup like I have, very often having more than one graphics card helps with that. And also, I already had this graphics card, so I'd had to get rid of that, sell it, or try and sell it, and then buy a new one. And I figured I'll get another one of them because it's quite a good one anyway. And finally, my first ever Crossfire setup. I've never used more than one graphics card before, so hopefully this will work. This looks like it's symmetrical. Yes, it is. So I guess one goes on the top here, and the other bit goes on the top. There we go. Crossfire. Well, there we go. Everything is back in. We have replaced the motherboard. We have replaced the RAM and CPU. It's got a brand new heatsink on there, and I've got a second card in. Let's get it fired up and see what happens. Right then, okay, here we go. The moment of truth. There are so many things that could go wrong with this. Cables in fans, connections not together. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm going to keep a close eye on my monitors as I press the power button. Let's see anything at all. Oh, we've got a start. We've got one fan that's stopped. We've got another fan that sounds like it's got a... Yeah, we've got a GPU that... No, we've got fan issues. Power down. Power down. Right, let's check that out. Okay, there we go. All up and running. There was a small cable just touching the fan on this graphics card just here, and that was stopping the fan going, and that was causing the graphics card to error and not boot. But everything seems to be running at the moment, so I'm going to get into the BIOS, boot it up, and finish the upgrade. Well, there we go. I booted it up again, went into the BIOS. Everything was already set up, all ready and rolling, because it was pre-configured with that processor in there. And all I did then was tell it which drive to boot from, which was my primary drive from before. Booted up like a dream, everything seemed to work. Just had to install a couple of drivers for the motherboard, but apart from that, yeah, installed those drivers and got it rolling pretty good. I'm really happy. It couldn't have gone much smoother, to be honest. The installation was a bit fiddly at times, but okay. Everything only just fits in the case, and I don't have to reinstall my OS or anything like that. It all runs very nicely. I need to do some real hardcore testing with it though, so we're going to load up some high graphics games, set the settings all really high up and give them a good go. But for day-to-day operation, for streaming, and for everything else that I'm doing, that is going to be fantastic. Well, there we go. If you've got any questions, thoughts or comments about this video, please pop them down in the comments below. But that's all from me for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, remember to give it a like. It helps me out. And ta-ra for now. Goodbye.